So, there's 1.3 billion people on Earth as of March 2014.
Wow.
Those are active monthly users. There's 1 billion people who access the site through mobile devices. Just to put that in perspective, there's more Facebook users than there are Catholics.
That can't be
Earth.
true.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It turns out it is true, but they're neck and neck. Anyhow, the overall point is that when you have 1 out of every 7 people on the planet in the same space trying to connect across time and geography,
you are bound to create problems sometimes.
The story begins Christmas 2011.
People are doing what they do every holiday season. They're getting back together with their families, and they're going to family parties, and they're taking lots and lots of pictures. And they're all uploading them to Facebook.
And at the time, the number of photos that were getting uploaded was going pretty crazy.
In fact, in just those few days between Christmas and New Year's,
there are more images uploaded to Facebook
than there were the entirety of Flickr.
Wait, you're saying more images were uploaded in a week to Facebook than all of Flickr all time?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which created a situation.
The number of photos was going up, and along with the number of photos going up, the number of reports was going up.
So a day or so after Christmas,
thereabouts,
Facebook engineers come back to work, and they find waiting for them literally millions of photo reports.
Yes. The number of people that would be necessary to review everything that was coming in, it kind of boggled the mind.
How many people would you have needed?
I think at the time we were looking at it, which is 2 years ago, and again, all this has grown much since then. We're looking at like thousands.
So Arturo decided, before we do anything, let's just figure out what we're dealing with.
And so we sat down with a team of people, and we started going through the photos that people were reporting.
And what they found was that about 97% of these million or so photo reports were drastically miscategorized. They were seeing moms holding little babies.
Reported for harassment.
Pictures of families in matching Christmas sweaters.
Reported for nudity. Pictures of puppies reported for hate speech.
Puppies reported as hate speech?
Yes. And we're like, what's going on, right?
So they decide, let's investigate.
Okay, so step 1 for Facebook, just ask a few of these people.
Why don't you like this photo?
Why did you report this?
Responses come back, and the first thing they realize is that almost always the person complaining about the image
was in the image they were complaining about.
And they just hate the picture. Like maybe they were doing a goofy dance, someone snapped a photo, and they're like, why did you post that?
Take it down.
Or maybe they were at a party.
They got a little too drunk. They hooked up with their ex. Somebody took a picture, and that person says, oh, that's a one-time thing. That's never happening again. Take it down.
Arturo said there were definitely a lot of reports from people who used to be couples.
And then they broke up. And then they're asking to take the photos down.
And the puppy? What would be the reason for that?
Oh, because it was maybe a shared puppy.
Maybe it's your ex-wife's puppy. You see it, makes you sad.
Take it down.
So once we've begun investigating, you find that there's all of this relationship things that happen that are like really complicated.
You're talking about stuff that's the kind of natural detritus of human dramas.
And the only reason that the person reporting it flagged it as like hate speech is because that was one of the only options.
They were just picking because they needed to get to the next screen to submit the report.
So we added a step.
Arturo and his team set it up so that when people were choosing that option,
I want this photo to be removed from Facebook.
Some of them would see a little box on the screen
that said, how does the photo make you feel?
And the box gave several choices.
The options were embarrassing,
saddening, upsetting,
bad photo. And then we always put in an other,
where you could write in whatever you wanted about the image.
And it worked incredibly well. I mean, like 50% of people would select an emotion.
Like, for instance, embarrassing.
And then 34% of people would select other. And we read those. We sit down and we're reading the other. And what was the most frequent thing that people were typing into other? It was, it's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. But you had embarrassing on the list.
I know.
That's weird.
I know.
Arturo was like, okay, maybe we should just put it's in front of the choices?
As in, please describe this piece of content. It's embarrassing.
It's a bad photo of me. It makes me sad.
etc.
And when they wrote out the choices that way,
With that extra word,
We went from 50% of people selecting an emotion to 78% people selecting an emotion.
in other words,
the word "it's" all by itself boosted the response by 28%.
From 50 to 78.
and in Facebook land, that means thousands and thousands of people.
I mean, just to slow down for a second, I'm trying to think of what could that be? It's. Do people like full sentences or?
Here's thinking. It's always good to mirror the way people talk.
Right.
Arturo's idea, though, which I find kind of interesting, is that when you just say embarrassing and there's no subject, it's silently implied that you are embarrassing. But if you say it's embarrassing, well, then that shifts the sort of emotional energy to this
Photograph.
thing. And so then it's less hot and it's easier to deal with.
Oh, how interesting. That thing is embarrassing. I'm fine. It's embarrassing.
It is responsible,
Yes.
not me.
Good for Arturo. That's like
It's interesting.
It's a subtle
right?
thought.
It's very subtle. But it still doesn't solve their basic problem because even if Facebook now knows why the person flagged the photo, that it was embarrassing and not actually hate speech, they still can't take it down.
I mean, there's nothing in the policy, the terms of service, that says you can't put up embarrassing photos.
And in fact, if they took it down, they'd be violating the rights of the person who posted it.
Like, there's nothing we can do. I'm sorry.
Oh, so they'd actually fence themselves in a little bit.
Yeah.
Huh. For me, I'd always put it in other.
I would just be like, go deal with it yourself. That's what I would say. Talk to the person. No, honestly, that's the solution. He wouldn't put it that way, but what he needed to have happen was for the person who posted the picture and the person who was pissed about it
To talk to each other.
To work it out themselves.
So Arturo and his team made a tweak where if you said this photo was embarrassing or whatever, a new screen would pop up and it would ask,
Do you want your friend to take the photo down?
and if you said, yes, I would like my stupid friend to take the photo down,
We put up an empty message box.
Just an empty box that said, we think it's a good idea for you to tell the person who upset you that they upset you.
And only 20% of people would type something in and send that message.
They just didn't do it. They just said, I'd rather you deal with this.
So Arturo and his team were like, okay, let's take it one step further. When that message box popped up,
We gave people a default message that we crafted.
To start that conversation.
Just get the conversation going. And it's kind of funny. The first version of the message that we did was like,
Hey, I didn't like this photo. Take it down.
Hey, I don't like that photo. That's a little aggressive.
it is. But when they started presenting people with a message box with that sentence pre-written in,
Almost immediately.
we went from 20% of people sending a message to 50% of people sending a message.
Really?
It's been surprising to all of us. Like, we weren't expecting to see that big of a shift.
Okay, so this means that people just don't want to write. They'll sign up for pretty much anything.
no, not necessarily.
No?
Maybe it's just that it's so easy to shirk the responsibility of confronting another person that you need every little stupid nudge you can get.
I see. Okay.